Hey, 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 welcome to Common You Spurs TV, where we talk about everything Spurs. Wow, wow, wow. Another day, another goal scored within 15 minutes. Spurs now top the league for the highest number of goals conceded within the first 15 minutes in the league. Shambles. We'll tell you what you think on the other side. With me, I've got a few guests today, but we'll start with Ben. Ben will meet us on the other side. In the meantime, we just say, come on, ye Spurs. Welcome back. Welcome back. If this is your first time here, this is Come On You Spurs TV, where we talk about everything Spurs. Today we're doing the aftermath with special guests, where we look at everything post-match, and we bring you banter, bring you chat, we bring you rumors and news, and of course we talk about the key moments in the match. Away at Villa, Tottenham go away trying to secure or strengthen European places, and come away losing 2-1 to Villa. Well, we'll talk about the scoreline, the play, and all of that. With me today, I've got Ben. Before I introduce Ben, I'll say I want to say a big thank you to all of you who support us by subscribing, by commenting, by leaving likes. We really appreciate you. We ask that you continue to do so. If it's your first time here, please subscribe. Share this with your family, colleagues, and folks in your network. Right. Where do we even kick off today? Where do we kick off? I mean, because it's been I don't know, you'd like to say it's been an absolute shambles. You know what I mean? From a Tottenham perspective, of course. But if you're a Villa fan, yeah, you must be in seventh heaven. But this is the Spurs channel. We'll leave Villa for the moment. Ben, welcome. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. I'm fine.
You don't sound fine. You
Surprisingly,
sound really low. I mean, come on, cheer up.
no, you know, the thing about the match is that during the match, I was effing and blinding and saying, "Come on!" I was screaming, especially when the guys were found offside so many times. But then, surprisingly, at the end, when the final whistle blew, I felt at ease because I said to myself, "Well, the season's over anyway," And as much as I'm of the school of thought that the more matches you play during the season, the better. And so therefore, it'd be good to be in Europe, even if it's conference next season. A part of me says, no, I don't want them to play. I want us to get a whole new team. I want us to think that we're bottom of the league team that doesn't play in Europe and needs to get itself all sorted out because those guys, they're just playing with cobwebs. And I know to blame, obviously, is Conte. I believe Conte is to blame because the boys they didn't like playing back foot football. I mean, they're human beings just like us, and every Spurs fan has been making noise and saying, "Oh, why are we playing this reactive football? It's bull crap. It's this, it's that." So obviously, it's fed through to the players, and the players thought, "Well, you know what? If we're winning and playing this way, we wouldn't mind. But we're not winning, and we keep getting tonked." So again, like I said, they're human beings, and human beings react to stimuli around them. And I think the players just thought, you know what? The last straw was when Conte just lost his rag and started calling them names and things, and that did it for them. But no, I'm not down. Surprisingly, it was going to be a huge task to come away. You've seen our away record anyway, so you know what our away record is not nice. Against a team that's well coached by Good Evening, it is always gonna cause us problems. And again, we've got a new system we're playing as well, 4-4-2. Guys aren't used to it. We had a week of it in training, but you could see that they weren't used to this. There's too many players on the pitch now for them. So yeah, I'm not worried. I'm just grateful we've only got two more matches to go in this season. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching as a neutral, you probably think, what are Spurs up to? I mean, we have this unenviable record that I referred to at the start of this program when I said Spurs were level on points or level on number of goals conceded before the match started. On the number of goals conceded in the first 15 minutes of a match, and we ended up topping the league because we conceded a goal within like 9 minutes of first 8 minutes actually. I think it was in the 8th minute that the goal went in off Jacob Ramsey, and you felt okay. I mean, here we go again, and Villa had a few more chances to increase their lead in that half, and I think the poor thing from Spurs' perspective was that at the end of that first half, we had no shots, no attempt on goal. Granted, we had a few attempts that were offside or, but as in actual attempts that could have counted. There were none, and I think Villa played a bit of a blinder when you look at the way they set up against us. They kind of kept a high line, and we just didn't seem to have any clue as to how to beat that offside trap that they had in that first half, and that's a little bit disappointing. I mean, from a tactical perspective, I mean, anyone watching that would say, "Hang on." I mean, if you set up like that as opponents if you have opponents set up like that against you, surely there's a way you can beat that that setup. And you think, why didn't they do something about that at least in that first half to A, stem the tide, B, and at least have a go at trying to bring things to a level point. Would love to hear from you from home. Join the conversation. This is Come On You Spurs TV, like I said, where we talk about everything Spurs. We're reviewing the match between Tottenham and Villa at Villa Park. This is your first time here. Leave your comment and let us know where you're watching from. It'd be nice to hear from you as well. Yes. So we lined up as what? The same way we had, I think it was an unchanged side from last weekend that we played against. Who did we play last weekend? Remind me. Crystal Palace, right? Exactly the same lineup. And we thought, okay, fine. Maybe they would obviously continue where they left off. But again, it seemed this time around that we sort of set up in a kind of low block. I mean, Ben, what do you think happened there? Tell me.
Well, I think I alluded to that. I alluded to what I think happened previously. Right, nothing was working. Nothing was working. The players, to me, looked like they. I don't want to be rude, really, but it looked like they were looking forward to having their Saturday meal. They weren't there to be sure. I mean, normally that kind of match, you see Kane on the end of things, coming back deep, pulling the ball. But I looked and I didn't see Kane in the midfield at all. And I don't know whether Ryan told him to stay up top, but we had, I think we had Son and we had Richarlison going up front. Both of them were going up front. So Kane should have been dropping deep. Maybe he was, but he wasn't getting the ball. He was getting hacked down, that's for sure. But I don't know. They're playing away, so yeah, they've got to. They're aware of the dangers from Villa, but they didn't seem to have any answer to it. I think in this match, if there's look at it this way, we started playing better as soon as they swapped Richarlison with Kulusevski. As soon as he came on, it was a different game. We started playing better, and I think that the first half problems we had were down to Ryan. Personally, that's what I think. I know the commentator said the same thing as well, but we all saw the same thing, which was that the team started playing better once Kulusevski came on. That might be because, they started. I think when I looked at the starting lineup, they had Son on the right and Richarlison on the left, which would have seen Richarlison thriving, trying to live off the crosses from Porro. But I kept on seeing Son on the left, on the left, and Richarlison was going through the middle. So I don't know. But personally, I'm lost for words. Really, like I said, I'm not annoyed or upset or anything about the way Tottenham played, but this season's got to fizzle out. It has to. We've got 2 more matches to go, and then we can start learning something different because these players, for almost 2 years now, I've been coached, not 2 years, 2 years with Conte, and all those years with freaking Mourinho, to not play with the football, just keep running like madmen all over the pitch and not hold the football. So I think we need to coach out of them. That needs to be coached out of them. We need to get a front foot coach, and then we'll be happy. But I know we're talking about today's match, and to be honest, I think they already think the season's over. I think some of them don't want to play conference, but I think we should play conference because that way we can use all the players in the team. Because if we don't, and we've got some loanees coming back as well, we need all the matches we can play. So even though the conference, I mean, why would we turn down the conference? Conference is a way for us to win a trophy, and I think Tottenham needs to win the trophy, even if it is a conference. We need to win it, So that's my two pennies worth there. I think we just lost the ball, lost the will to play football. But at least my man Kane scored, so I'm more interested in my fantasy team now than anything else. You there, Soji?
Yeah, so I'm just struggling to see how, I mean, we can, sort of do a bit of a rescue act, for want of a better expression, in this last stage of the season. Because if you think about it, I mean, we have two more matches, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, the way it is from Spurs' perspective, I think, how do we even get here in the first place? How do we get to a point where we're struggling to be? I mean, okay, Villa have sort of improved a great deal under Unai Emery. I mean, without a doubt. And I mean, you
It's
think with
coaching.
sorry,
It's coaching.
yeah, because I mean, clearly is
Yeah.
doing something right, and I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it's clearly working. I mean, whatever he's doing there, it is clearly working, and yeah, because it seem to have turned the corner, and from Villa's perspective, I mean, they sort of had I mean, they had this guy who was like he had Kane under shackle in that first half, McGinn, I'm thinking to myself,
Again, yeah.
he just had the edge over us in that midfield. I'm thinking to myself, how do we even get to a point where we're struggling against teams like Villa? I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm no disrespect to Villa, but I mean, in days gone past, those are sort of matches that you come away with comfortable wins. And we've always had a very good record against Villa on that ground. I mean, if I look at record books, I'm not even sure Villa have taken points off us in a very long time. And this season they've done the double on us, which is, if you look at it, it's totally unbelievable. Totally unbelievable. All right, so we set up, I mean, to begin with, like I said, 4-4-3 with, 4-4-2 rather.
Yeah.
Foster back in goal, obviously, because Lloris is injured. And we're playing a mix of, I mean, 3 at the back, 5 in the middle, and 2 up front. But we're sort of switching things depending on where we're going. But I mean, if you looked at it, when we didn't have the ball, I mean, which was most of the time, it was
Mhm.
it was
Yep.
like 4-4-4-4, 3-5-2 actually, and we just didn't seem to have that little extra bits of guard sort of get out of the situation they sort of put us in. I think about it. I mean, it seemed as if we had no desire in the first half to even press at all.
Mhm.
And when we were pressing, it was so disjointed. It didn't seem as if you had any purpose, it had any bite to it or any rhythm to it, and they just kept beating that press so easily. It was like, I mean, come on, I mean, guys, what's going on here? What is going on? Now, I know that, I mean, these matches are very, very what's my call difficult to call. I mean, given the fact that okay, Mason is okay, is interim. His role is like okay, in a sense limited, and there's only so much you can do at this stage of the season. I mean, I have to put my hand up and say that okay, fine. when we had last match against Liverpool and Man United, and even against Crystal Palace. I thought the team performed quite well. I mean, I'm not sure I could say that about today, because a lot of the passes were just going astray. They couldn't string passes together, especially in the first half, and we couldn't even attack them in the third half. I mean, so in their attacking third of the game. So I mean, it all felt really really flat. I mean, it's extremely disappointing from a Tottenham perspective. You know, really really disappointing. Um, and okay, fine. They scored a really well worked goal in a sense, but I felt that if we were going to be sort of be critical about how that goal went in, it was a bit of not keeping possession of the ball, losing it in the final third. Again, down to Villa pressing. You know, they pressed the high of the pitch. We lost the ball. Ball came to Ramsey, and I just felt that he shouldn't have had the opportunity to even have that shot or take that shot. But he did, and I think Longley was a little bit suspect in that first half. He had a bit of a mare in that first half. You know, there's so many misplaced passes. There were times when we had the transition to go forward, and he just couldn't find the right pass. You know, or pass the ball out of play. I mean, just sort of turned over possession as quickly as we got it back. And if you're playing the sort of game that we were playing, which was essentially a counter type game of soak up the pressure, get the ball off them, and go into a counter attack. But we just didn't seem to be able to sort of click into that sort of mode in that first half, you know. So I'm disappointed. It does not even cut it, you know. So I mean, okay, Dyer didn't play the last match. He was supposedly injured for today. He wasn't even in the squad. But Bissouma came back and obviously started on the bench. And at the start of the game, I was thinking to myself, okay, Watkins has been doing a lot of wonders for Villa. And this season, I thought to myself, or this match, he would either give us a lot of trouble and extend his goal tally. I mean, I think highest number of goals he ever scored in the Premiership was 14 goals, which is what he's on now. And I was dreading to, I didn't want him to sort of extend that, you know, to 15. Thankfully, he didn't, but they still did the damage through Jacob Ramsey and what was that other guy's name that scored the second goal again? The Argentine guy, you know.
Douglas Luiz.
Oh, sorry,
Douglas
yeah,
Luiz.
the Brazilian guy, yeah, Douglas Luiz.
Yeah.
Now, if we, like I said, if we look at the first goal, I mean, probably Longley should have done a lot better than he did in that situation. But if you talk us through the second goal, I was thinking to myself, how did that? I mean, okay, so there was a bit of a contentious free kick leading up to that, leading up to the goal. I mean, I think Kane felt it wasn't meant to be a free kick, and I mean, for his protest, he got a yellow card for that for dissent, you know. But I felt that Foster should have done a lot better for that goal, because the ball wasn't going to the corner. I mean, and he had a really good chance to sort of keep it out. I don't know how he might not keep that sort of ball out. Like, I guess you can always look back at. I mean, these are times when you look back and you think to yourself, okay, would Hugo have saved that? You know, people will say perhaps, you know, but there have been times when it's dropped quite a few clangers for us this season, and yeah, so I think it's cost us a lot more this season than it saved us. So I mean, who knows? Yeah, so I mean, I felt that was second goal was a little bit soft from a Spurs perspective, you know.
Yeah.
Well, from a Villa perspective, good free kick, but I think the keeper should have kept that out, you know. But hey, going 2 goals down away to Villa, and you think to yourself, we didn't have a chance to come back on this one. And I think we came too late in the game to start sort of trying to do anything about it. So if we look at it now, starting Richarlison, how do you think he did? I mean, from your, I mean, let's just have a look at Richarlison's performance. You know, I mean, what I didn't think he did much today, because he was just, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if he was in the wrong position, if he was lethargic. The balls didn't come to him. I mean, in good positions, or what? But he just seemed totally way off today. I mean, what do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I think he was way off. most of the time when I did spot him, he was coming through the middle or coming through the left.
Yeah.
Because I think he was on opposite side to Porro. So Porro was on the right and he was on the left. Okay, so that was good. And then we had the two up top. So he is normally rolling down the left or coming through the center. But if I remember correctly, when he was in Everton, he used to always go down the left. I always remember seeing him come down the left. He'd get to the byline and pull the ball back, and Everton wouldn't score. but I remember his runs were always down the left hand side. So I don't know what he played as a striker for Brazil, and did well there. So those two positions he's good at. But today, I think the whole team was lethargic. From what I was watching, they were doing exactly what Conte said. They were being selfish. They were playing for themselves because there was a ball that came into the box, that spun in the box, and it would have gone in. But rather than put your body in the line and kick the ball out, I saw some guys staring at it until someone said, "Oh yeah, better kick it out." I was like, how will you do that? The ball's in your box. The first thing you do is you don't have to think about it. You don't have to tell your leg to do anything. You just clear it. Yeah, seriously,
that,
you just
that
your
should
leg
have
just
been
clears it.
instinctive enough for you to deal with, wouldn't it, eh?
Yeah, but it's like they looked at it and said, "What's that?" And then somebody said, "Oh, it's the ball," and then we kick it out. That told me everything about the
That is
match.
so funny. That
I
is so
know.
funny. Keep your comments coming in. This is Come On You Spurs TV. If you're watching us live, we're reviewing the match between Tottenham and Aston Villa. And of course, the match ended up us losing 2-1 away at Villa Park. And yeah, I mean, disappointing outcome. But if you think about it, I'm not sure we deserve anything more from that match. Um, all right, so we end up going up, and then I guess a little bit fortunate with the Kane goal. I mean, of course, it came late towards the end of the match. Towards I think it was the 89th minute or so,
Yeah,
or the 86th minute, I think. And then before we had this long delay before the kick was taken. I mean, the penalty was awarded via VAR, and then he got. But okay, let's look at this decision. I mean, do you think that was the right decision for the penalty?
well, I'm not one of those that the second guesses, especially now we got VAR. But one would think that with VAR, every problem will be cleared up. We both know that isn't the case. We get some very iffy decisions through VAR. So,
All right.
did he deserve it? I think the thing about it is that it might have been Kane that made the ball move, because when I saw the ball move, I thought, oh, the guy got the ball. But it might be that it was Kane that got it.
Right.
And so they decided to do like the old days. Don't let VAR deny the penalty. Just give the penalty, because without VAR, that would have been a penalty. I think you'd agree with me there.
Mm.
So because VAR wasn't able to find a way to look at it and say, yeah, definitely that's off, because that's what VAR is for. It's for obvious errors. So they couldn't see how it couldn't be a penalty, so they gave it. Because you can't look at VAR and say, oh, well, maybe it wasn't Kane that touched it. No, you can't do that, because VAR can't go back in time. You can only record what's there. So, the answer to your question, was the decision right? Yeah, most especially for my fantasy team, because I got a goal from Kane. So for that reason, I think it was deserved.
All right. I think Chuma is joining us now. I'm not sure if we're going to see him, but let's have a look and see if we can find him. Let's try and see if we can get him on. Chuma, welcome. Can you hear us?
Hey, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Yes.
Loud and clear.
Yeah, I mean we've had this.
Napoli.
I mean we've kind of gone into the whole match thinking, okay, fine. Where do we go from here? I mean, it's been a poor. Well, I guess it was a poor display overall. I mean, I don't know if it was a question of the execution of the tactics, or was the tactics, or it was just the players that just didn't perform on the day. I mean, what do you think?
Being that I'm back from my loan spell at Napoli, where 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 real attacking football. I was literally debating being on this show today because I stopped watching after they scored their first goal.
Right.
I stopped. I didn't watch the rest of the game. I did. I was following it on BBC commentary, the live text commentary,
Right.
and I was living through that, and I kept glancing back. I was doing some work. I kept glancing back, hoping, for an equalizer. When I didn't see that, then I saw 2-0. But generally, even watching that start as well, yeah, it's I've defended the players for so long, but it's not just the players. It's Mason as well. It's I had the real argument between Daniel Levy and Antonio Conte. Was Conte said I'm done, and he told him no problem, just hold them till the end of the year and you can go where you're going. And Conte told him no. The minute he was gone, he was gone. And somewhere along the line, I think we weren't playing terribly well under Antonio Conte, but it's something about a kind of leadership respect I think players have for certain managers that um, regardless of how it is, they will still end up playing very well, or they'll play good enough under a proper leader with identity and everything. Even though you're not playing fabulous football, we were not playing fabulous football, but we've spiraled since he left. We've really spiraled. And as much as I didn't like the football under him towards the closing stages or most of this season, if he had stayed, would we have digressed this much? I don't think so. I think Ryan Mason is trying, but there's no authority, there's no identity. And yeah, it's really, really sad at the moment. It's really sad.
Interesting. I mean, I love your summary, and largely because that's it's twofold. Now, from a Spurs perspective, you think, okay, fine, where do we go from here? I mean, we have, I think if you remember, we had this conversation when we had the previews for this match, and I think I remember myself saying that I wouldn't mind having Mason in charge, going forward. But I think today's match just shows he was totally out of his depth there. I mean, because I think if you look at the match from a neutral perspective, I mean, the commentaries I was listening to was, I know that a lot of these commentators, in my view, and this is my opinion now, they have this big anti-Spurs bias, right? That it's like they find it so difficult to hide, in the way that they report or even comment on the game, and I mean, sometimes I think to myself, are we watching the same match, or is it me, or Anyway, what am I saying? Okay, we set up ourselves in what I might call a bit of a low block, if you like. Why are we playing low block? Okay, fine. We're playing away at Villa. Villa are playing, okay, a little bit of good football these days. But how would they set up a high line against us? Is it okay? Maybe, but Son has the pace, doesn't he? I mean, so why would they even have the, excuse my French? How would they even have the guts to even attempt setting up on a high line for us, against us? That means they don't even have any respect for us at all.
At all. You summed it up. You summed it up. We all knew he was going to play 4-4-2. We all knew he was going to play a high line. But for whatever reason, like I said, we're playing well-drilled teams. We're playing people that have an identity, that know what they go and do. You see, the thing I've never liked in football is where I hear things like, oh, we're coming to the game, we're going to defend. And I like teams that say, look, we're coming here, we're going to smash you. We're going to come and do the business against you. Spurs had that when we were under Pochettino. We're coming here to do you. We're not coming here to play what you want us to play. We dictate our own terms. They play their football. Newcastle play their football. Brighton play their football. Better or worse, it's what they do. Tottenham have no football at the moment. We have no football.
You just nailed it right there.
Yeah.
You can't even say this is what we do. I mean,
we're not counter-attacking team anymore. Like under Conte, we're not really counter-attacking. Yeah. We're not
are we
imposing.
Low block team? Are we counter-attacking?
No, we're in transition. I think we're in transition. We're in
Yeah, no,
transition.
season is
Then this,
over. The season is done,
yeah,
and if
those players look like they were looking forward
yeah, no,
to
they're on the holidays. They're on the holidays, and here's the thing. I put it on a group, and I don't know if I put it in our group. I said, imagine the two different things that happened, or the one thing that happened. Imagine it flipped. This morning we find out that Julian Nagelsmann is no longer under consideration. According to them, how Tottenham are spinning it, or Daniel Levy, ENIC are spinning it, is, oh, we never talked to him, we never approached him. They used their guys. I said, could you imagine the reverse if he had said, guess what? This morning, Julian Nagelsmann has signed for Tottenham. He's going to help us get a director of football. Can you imagine how these players, they'll be scared out of their socks, like, this guy is coming if we don't demonstrate, if we don't do this. But now it's like everyone's on their holidays. What can you do to them for what they've done now? What can you do as a Spurs fan or Spurs? They said season's almost over, like 2.5 weeks left. Like, we can't get into
and they
Europe, we
scored,
can't do anything.
yeah, and they scored a goal as well, so they won't be refunding tickets. So
Exactly. It wasn't 6-1, so
yeah,
there's no refund. But it's like you said, it's like watching them in that game. It's like, the bits I saw is like, dudes, like, what are you guys doing? Like, but I look at the bench and I'm thinking to myself, like, this guy is a rookie. And, I too was in a camp that, it would be nice to give him something. But now I'm like, no, 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 no.
the job
Like,
is too big for him.
right now, like, even Brendan Rodgers could have done better with the side. Even Graham Potter would have done better with that side. There's something he's missing, something he needs to go and learn and then come back.
But this
Come
tells you exactly what I've been saying about A, fans, B, pundits, and C, people who look at football from an outside perspective. Here we were on this same platform here, right? Where we were talking about new manager, and so I remember saying to myself, "Oh, I can't even imagine myself now saying that. Oh, let's give Ryan Mason a chance." Assuming we're giving him a chance, and I was to make that
Sack him, sack him, sack him,
and today it will be sack him. I mean, these
sack
kind of
him.
footballers, So
No, but
it's
yeah.
always very difficult from an owner's perspective, from a management perspective.
No, I've cussed out Levy today. I've cussed him out. Like, I just came out of a phone conversation where I really cussed him out, and I said, I said to my friend that I hope everybody who sits around him in the next home match, they all turn around and just throw their coffees at him and Donna Cullen. But my friend said that's a bit extreme now. And I said, I actually thought of it and I say, yeah, that's wrong. That's really wrong to like aim violence at him. But it's kind of like the reason why I know, like you said, it's hard to be an executive, but the reason why is, bro, this has been compounding to this point. It's not like it happened overnight. You made the wrong choices of managers, you've done all these different things, but yet in a weird way I still can't blame him, but I can blame him. I don't know if that makes any sense. I blame him and I don't blame him at the same time.
Well, I think one of the things that I always say is this, right? And which is whatever position we want to hold, right? We should hold that position and see it through to its logical conclusion. What do I mean by that? I.e., let's take Pochettino for instance, right? Let's just look at Pochettino. Okay, fine. He had to leave because obviously this team wasn't strengthened, and he was having around poor results. I was either right off last season and have a restart. Refresh the team, and hopefully give him what he wants with a view to because as we all know, with the benefit of hindsight, and even when we knew at the time that team was had grown still. It needed a refresh. And we had 2 or 3 transfer windows when we didn't have new players coming in, which was absolutely abject. So again, that for me was the undoing of Pochettino, because he came in at a time when stadium build, moved to a new stadium. I think he started just before COVID started. I think, or maybe I think Mourinho was.
No, he got sacked, and then COVID happened like 3 months later.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean,
in November, I think.
And then we had Mourinho. Now, so I think if you look at Levy's model, and if it had worked out well as he in quote, he might have had in his head, which we all sort of subscribed to at the time, which was, let's get build our team, right, with a decent manager who would be project-based type of Pochettino type person, right? Which we had, but he stayed the course up to the stadium build. Now we have a fantastic new stadium, right? Now it's time to sort of maybe begin to add a bit of furniture as using Pochettino's analogy at the time. You know, you can't build a new house without not put new furniture in. You can't,
but you don't have a Pochettino.
Exactly. So no. I'm just sort of looking at the progression, right? So okay, Pochettino didn't last because for whatever reason he didn't have the good results, you know, and of course fans were clamoring and all that sort of thing. Now, from a decision perspective, hindsight again, coming in and say maybe what Levy should have done, knowing what we know now, is for him to have held on to Pochettino and say, okay, fine. Why have that bad season? Well, they were not going to be relegated anyway.
Like Liverpool are doing Klopp. Yeah,
exactly. Rather that bad season and have a reset for the following season. But we didn't do that. We sacked him. I thought, okay, the right fix would be now to get an elite manager, you know, who would come in and take that same team and do wonders with them. But those elite managers, like we all know, work on the basis of a certain formula. And that formula always boils down to largely money. Largely money. You know, okay, a bit of taxes as well, but largely about money, getting the right type of players who fit their own style of play. And if we're honest, right, Mourinho's style was turgid. It was absolutely, I'm sorry, excuse my French, crap. You know, but we still have people who would die on Mourinho's.
No, but however, sorry to interject, but however as well, because of COVID, he couldn't get the kind of spend that Conte got. So even if he could have pulled off some more players, we didn't have the funds to do that as well. All we got was Reguilon, Doherty, you know. And if we'd had the money, I think Conte spent way more than he did. Or they spent way more than he did.
Then we still had a few upgrades at the time. We had Ndombele, we had Lo Celso,
that was Pochettino. So they came for Pochettino.
Yeah, but
so they came in the summer. He joined mid-season with those signings belonging to Pochettino. They weren't his signings.
I understand that. I'm saying that. I mean, if I remember when he first got into the position, he said, "Oh, with this team." He was. I think he actually said to me, "Oh, he hadn't beat Pochettino's team. Like he could, you know, he wish he had that team. I wish he didn't have the team, and you don't do anything with it."
That was my argument as well about him. That he came in and said, "I can take these guys and do better than Poch did."
Yeah,
but a lot of these fans are denying that.
For me, he single-handedly ruined their career, even though they didn't help himself either. But you know, I mean, I don't know. So you have someone firing under the Pochettino, firing on all cylinders. All of a sudden, okay, loses a bit of form. You don't get the best out of him. That for me is the manager's. That's part of managerial skills that people have. Okay, you then have Ndombele, who didn't really pull his weight. You know, I'd go off on loan. You had Lo Celso. You had Reguilon. You know, the makings of what I call it, not a bad team as such, but of course,
looking at Villa now and looking at Brighton, think of those players we had when they were still quite good. We didn't even send them alone. A proper manager could do something with those boys in midfield. That's all I'm saying.
No, what you're saying, Chuma, is very, very true. We see all these other teams. We see Newcastle. We see Villa. We see.
There was nothing special about Newcastle today. Did you watch it again? Those guys just played with energy. Like, I was like, these guys are Joelinton is a scrub. Oh, well, not a scrub, but like, he's not. Joelinton is not one of the best midfielders in the world. Højbjerg is higher rated than Joelinton, in my opinion. You know,
exactly.
It's just watching Newcastle and watching us is night and day. And I'm looking at their team, like, all due respect to Newcastle, like, you know, I respect them. Eddie Howe just gave them an identity and a system to run with, and they train and play with that same passion of the identity. There's nothing great. You know, I was arguing with a friend of mine. The two centre-backs for Brighton, Lewis Dunk and Webster. those two guys couldn't have gotten into Spurs' team. We're looking at Lewis Dunk. Fans were cussing Spurs out for looking at Lewis Dunk years ago. And then now Lewis Dunk is now, oh my God, one of the best central defenders. He lures attackers into press. He passes through them. I'm like, look at this same Lewis Dunk that we're like, nah, we'll pass. You know? Now he's healed. Why? Identity, you're playing. And I'm looking at
could
Ryan
it be
Mason.
a matter of him improving since that time to up till now? Or
No, the coach, that's what I'm saying. The coach has improved them and given them an identity that they play with. You know what I mean? It's like they all play to the identity. Keep the ball under your studs. Let them come. As they come, pass to the side. As the side comes, one guy comes in. And it's like, at Tottenham now, keeper rolls that ball out. What are they doing? What do they do? What is their thing? How do they press? Who triggers our press? When they're on the ball, when they're in midfield, who does what? Villa knew exactly what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Villa knew exactly with two midfielders. They played 4-4-2 today. Old school system. Yet everybody knew what they were doing and they knew they could have Spurs. It was 18 touches in the first half, 18 touches in Spurs' box compared to 1 touch in their box.
Yeah, that was abysmal. That was totally abysmal.
That just tells you.
That sums it up. That just sums it up.
It was, I was happy to see Bissouma come back. If we're going to talk of any positives, and Bissouma ran with the ball as opposed to staying in one stationary location and passing like he was doing under Conte. He actually moved with the ball, and I said, he looks like, I tuned in for that. When I heard he came on, I said, let me just see. And he came on, and I watched, and nothing was still progressing, but he was moving. And I said, this is what our midfield has been poor since Bentancur. It's so hard to, like, even if we weren't as good and we had Bentancur, he has an appreciation of space. He knows how to do things, and Højbjerg plays better with him. Skip is like Højbjerg. They are the same kind of guy. They need a Bentancur. Unfortunately, Bentancur is injured till November.
I was a little bit frustrated today on many levels. Let me one of the things I think I mentioned it earlier on about them disrespecting us by playing a high line. Now from a striker's perspective, right? We weren't born yesterday. I mean, these guys have been playing this like for God knows how long, right? How you can't time your run or maze like your run in a way to make sure that you get it right. I cut them out at least once or twice, but somehow that someone just didn't seem to have gotten into his head and look, hang on, calm down, just calm down, just a tad. But every time that happened, he just caught us offside. He scored a goal in the end, but it didn't count. There was one time he hit the post. But most times offside
and then offside. Yeah, offside.
Yeah, on all the occasions. I mean, not once, several times in the course of the match. And for me, I felt that was quite disappointing. I thought he could have done a lot better. And I mean, I'm not one to call out players as such, but I mean, I didn't think he did himself great service. If we look at individual performances, I mean, across in Foster in goal, for instance, for me, he could have done better with the second goal. That free kick should not have gone in. I mean, it just wasn't good enough from my perspective. I mean, what do you think, Ben?
To be perfectly honest with you, I knew there was going to go a goal was going to come of that move. So I removed my face. I removed my face from watching.
You hid behind the sofa.
No. I was having a cup of coffee at the time, and I really didn't want to spill it because I spent the whole match shouting at all the players, like especially Son that was getting offside all the time. So to be honest, I didn't really see that ball going. I saw the first one. That one was like shameful, but the second one I didn't see, but. When I knew
hidden behind the sofa.
when I knew the ball had gone in, I thought, that's it. I thought. So the only problem is for me is that I'm coming on this program. Otherwise, I would have stopped watching ages ago because after the first goal, and then watching the players, I thought, why am I coming on this? Why am I coming on come on you Spurs? These guys are crap, and I shouldn't be talking about them. It's gonna end up being a pity party. But I think,
carried on. Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah, I
watching,
mean,
but
it's for me. So from that perspective, I thought, I mean, I wouldn't award him beyond 5 just for that alone. You know, I mean, I don't think he commanded that's
No, but also he did quite well in the first half. Like I watched the highlights.
yeah.
He came out well. This could have been a 6-0 job or a 6-1 job if for
Well, fair
certain
enough.
things.
He did pull up 1 or 2 saves. I mean,
Yeah, in the first half. So you have to just give him that. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but
But
yeah,
again, that's his
yeah,
job. I mean, his job is meant to make saves, basically.
yeah.
hey,
You know?
Foster is better than every day. Foster is better than. I'm sorry, at this point in time, because no, Loris has been a good servant, but at this point in time, Foster is better than him.
Oh, really? Okay, fine. Okay.
That's what I feel.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
If we look at, I mean, around the back. Okay, so I mean, I thought Royal gave a good account of himself. I mean, I thought he did quite well. You know, and Pro did reasonably well, but the whole team for me just I couldn't quite pick out someone who you would say was outstanding or
Dominated the game or tried to impose himself.
trying to impose himself and sort of let's say, come on,
No,
let's take this game by the scruff
no.
of the neck. And,
I said I would have started, even though he's still not great, I would have started Kulusevski ahead of Richarlison and brought Richarlison on.
Yeah.
That's what I felt. Because I felt if you had somebody who could hold the ball and dribble and then support Poro, it would probably at least give us an outlet. You know, I'm not in support of Richarlison starting every game unless he's starting up front. But I don't know, like I look at this thing, we were all laughing about the fact that, give Harry Redknapp the job or one of these guys. I don't know, maybe it would have been better to give one old guy the job. I don't know. Because there's just this thing there where you're looking, going, surely these guys trained in a certain way. But it's like they're not really training and they're just like showing up for the game. And it's like, guy, we're going to line up in a 3-4-3. Okay. And it's like, what's your responsibility? What? Because I saw Ben Davis's hand come up when Jacob ran. I'm like, bro, you should know what's happening. Like, but I don't think they're talking. I don't think. I don't know. I honestly don't know. And I feel sorry for Ryan Mason because I honestly think that if he had won 2 matches in a row, his name would have been in the hat.
Yeah.
This match has completely kiboshed any hope he had of ever. Like,
absolutely.
But Emery continues his thing against us as well. So this is what, making 6 games or something. He has never lost to Spurs.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
we have the.
I was here. We were here. I mean, a few days ago doing this preview program. Which was aired yesterday, and I think one of the things we were saying was that I kind of predicted that we will probably win 3-1. And that's I mean, obviously more like
Villa Park
rather than reality. So
if they got it right.
Second.
No, we said if they got it right, it would be 3-1. I said 2-1 or a draw. I said 2-1 or a draw.
But I think you called the wrong team, eh?
I called the wrong team, and I also felt this highlight would exist and Son would score.
Yeah.
So
and he nearly beat the highlight for that goal that he scored, but hey, it was just marginally offside, marginally, But there you go. That's football for you.
There's one thing I wanted to say.
Second.
There's one thing I wanted to say. I don't know whether you guys are aware of the fact of the way Conte used to train the guys, because the under-21s, I don't know whether you realize the under-21s have gone down. They've gone to the Division 2, and they went down. Burdett, I think, is the coach. I feel sorry for him because what Conte used to do is he used to nick players from the under-21s to train the first team, and the worst thing about it was
they were denied playing the games.
They were denied playing. They didn't have their training with the rest of the players, and on top of that, they never moved because Conte had them stationary and was drilling the first team around static under-21s. So under-21s
the training code.
Relegated, and then the Tottenham are not used to playing against moving targets, so it's all bullshit. Pardon my French. When I heard that, I was like, why would you play against stationary? You're trying.
Gotta blip that out.
That's why Tottenham mess up.
I thought that was a diss. I saw it on Twitter where they said under 21 players were training cones. They were training cones for
Yeah,
the senior team. I was like,
I
are you
know.
kidding? Like, you're practicing your patterns around people standing in position. Like, that's mad. That's
Just
mad.
use cones instead,
That's
or buy the those statues, those ones that they use for training. Those men that when you then they bend over like that. Buy them, put them there. Why use under
yeah.
21s? And on top of that, you mess up the under 21s, and then you mess up the first team because the first team are not used to playing against moving targets.
No, I just don't know what he has to do. Like, if he has to go, I don't know. I honestly don't know what Ryan Mason can do now, like, to
No, no,
change
this season's
anything.
gone,
I
mate.
just think that
This
Well, I
season's
mean,
the
gone.
season's
I
gone.
guess
We've got
2 years.
Brentford. We've got Brentford, who I think,
They're
before
gonna
we
mash
even
us
do a
up.
preview next
They're
week,
going to mash us.
Brentford are coming for blood. Like,
I'm going to
Brentford will
make
come for blood,
Tony.
and
Tony's
that'll
going to
be
be
a
my
home
captain.
match. Yeah, and before
Tony's
that,
going to be my
before that
captain.
game, it's probably going to be the biggest ENIC out demonstration we're ever going to see. Before that game, it's
that's
already
home match, isn't it?
building up on Twitter.
That's a last home match.
Sorry.
That's a last home
Yeah,
match.
the last home match is already building up on Twitter. People I used to see that never involved themselves in all that stuff are now retweeting ENIC out, Levy out. Some people I never thought, some nice people, nice Spurs fans who never say anything bad on Twitter, they are all on it now. So I'm like, my God, the groundswell is massive. It's going to be huge in that game. And especially if Brentford do Spurs in a way I think they will do Spurs, it's going to be brutal. And
Yeah,
then Leeds are fighting for their lives. So the last game of the season, you can't even look forward to that either, because
Yeah.
Leeds Big Sam is going to be long ball into your box every single time.
And there's
and
got
what's the
So,
worst that could happen?
abundance of
What's the worst that
energy.
could
They'll
happen?
run. They'll
Miss
run you to the
conference.
well,
ground.
against Leeds will run riot on us. But then the plus point, I think, if we're ever going to discuss this, is would it be beneficial for us to not be in Europe at all next season? As bad as
I
that
don't.
would be, that we came eighth or whatever, to just escape that nonsense. But
We'll have team problems. We'll have squad problems
I think
because
for
I
that to
like
happen,
you.
I think for us not to be in Europe, you need a few things to happen, right? We need to have
Yeah.
a stable structure around the team, in terms of a new manager, director of football, and someone who has what you might call like a project mindset, And by project mindset, I don't mean project in a negative way, as in, okay, just go for the cheapest option, but essentially looking to say, look, give ourselves a 3 or 4 year target and say, look, okay, in those 3 years, we want to progress. Year one, we want to do the year two, we want to do the year three, we want to do this, man. And as much as possible, I know that all of these things are targets, right? But you need to let people know what your goals are, what your vision is, right? So you can share that communicate that vision to your fans, so at least they know what the plan is, and you can see where we're going, right? And
yeah,
even if you don't communicate it verbally, they can see it on the pitch. You can see it in your actions, in the stuff that you put out, in your messaging, in all of the stuff that you do. You may not necessarily spell it out per se and say, okay, well, we're doing this, we're doing this. This is. However, there's a way that you communicate vision, the way that you communicate plans, there's a way that you sort of, when you execute things, people begin to see, oh, wow, this is where they're going, But for at the moment, I was saying earlier on one of the charts that there is something wrong with the structure in Tottenham. And by that, I mean the whole structure. Because I don't know how all
The
this
new
negative
best
news
structure.
gets out. And we don't
Labour
have
Party.
the right type of news or counter measures, if you like, to manage the news in such a positive way. Every large corporation I know that turnover, the sort of turnover that we turn over, have an active public relations machine, right? To deal with situations and project an image for their service or company or product that they offer to the public. And we are meant to be like a top club in Europe. I mean, and I say that, I use that sense loosely in the sense that given the amount of turnover we have, the amount of money that goes through the system, and you can't even hire a PR firm and pay them even if you're paying them £1 million alone a year for what they give you. It's like, I mean, come on. I mean, I'm hearing news that Nagelsmann is not coming in. All right, on the face of it, it's not a big deal if it's not coming in, right?
on a match day.
Yeah, on the face of it, it's not a bad thing if it's not coming in. However, it's before one of your crucial matches to get into Europe for next season, right? You have crisis going around the club. Everyone's not sure what's going on, and you let us have news together. You don't even have anything prepared as some sort of statement from the. I don't even. But it's like there's something wrong. There is something wrong, and I'm not sure how that is going to be handled. But somebody needs to take hold of the whole.
So my whole thing was like, why you say you understand Daniel Levy's issues, and I'll give you this. I'm not in support of the man, but it's probably how Simon Jordan would break it down as well. So he knew from January that Antonio Conte was done. Let's just say he knew he was done. So the whole basis of their discussion was stay till the end of the season and then you can go. And that was the debate, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But he did not count on Paratici getting banned.
Right, fair enough.
That was the only thing. So that's the main misstep here. So when Conte now did this whole thing, they put Stellini and all that. Paratici's job now was to find the next manager, sign him, and then we can announce him that he's coming at the end of the year and whatever, we tank the rest of the season. Unfortunately, because Paratici was part of the Juventus thing, in fact, to be honest with you, allegedly he is the ringleader of what happened to Juventus. It is his black book that sunk them. However, he wants to spill this thing or spin the story. His black book sunk Juventus, but his sacking threw everything off balance, or his resignation, because now you're no longer just looking for a manager, you're looking for a director of football.
Mm-hmm.
He now hired a chief football officer, Scott Munn. Unfortunately, Scott Munn is still with the City Group. He can't start till July the 1st. So you needed that director of football to now do the running around for Scott Munn. And now you're faced with that and you need a manager as well. No decent manager who's worked with the director of football will join your club without having a director of football. Julian Nagelsmann being one. The questions he's asking Levy, he should be asking the sporting director. How are we doing this? How are we going to scout? How are we going to do this? So Julian Nagelsmann is well within his rights to have told us no, which he did. Now, like you said, the communication is very, very poor, because also if you had a director of sporting director of football, it's his job and his department to keep us up to date on this is what I'm doing. But we don't have that. So it's an omni shambles in terms of communication, which will not get improved, because now the next thing he has to do, he has to get a director of football in the next 2.5 weeks. So even this manager search that they keep claiming, it's all clickbait. And I'm actually tired of it right now. It's clickbait. This one is involved. Oh, Xabi Alonso is the guy now. It's all lies. It's all lies, because he has no director of football. So until he gets that director of football, all these things we're seeing are just bloody clickbait. They're not talking to anybody. They're not really doing anything, because none of those guys will talk to him without, what are we doing? Who are we buying? Is Harry Kane staying? All these questions that can be answered by your sporting director are not being answered. So here we are. It's just going to drag on. It's 46 days since Conte left. It took 72 after Mourinho for us to get anything. So this is halfway stage, let's just say, and still nothing. So the director of football, I'm waiting to see who he's going to hire. It started with 2 guys. I thought, yeah, sure, Bank had 2. Now I'm hearing 4 names. I'm hearing 5. It's just as bad as the managerial clickbait. Is the director of football clickbait at the moment. So there we are.
Yeah, I think it's just move a little bit quicker, so keep people at rest, and if you're not going to move quicker, at least send out communication that sort of quietens things down. Manage the communication in a way that ensures that at least people get an idea of what's going on. As opposed to this no news, hold people in. That's all, because it leaves room for rumors. It leaves room for negativity.
But the people he's chasing are under contract, so if he talks, the clubs can sue him.
This is it. So this is why communication is important. And the way people communicate is always different. It can be a simple statement like, "We are considering managers at the moment. There are a lot of options that we're looking at. It takes time for these things to happen, but we are working behind the scenes to make sure this happens." Okay, so who are you looking at? We can't mention because of X, Y, Z. And sometimes it's amazing how those things just calm people down. They make people just sort of calm. Oh, there are rumors that I cannot comment on those sort of rumors.
No, but he did that. He did that though. He did that and said, "Koi is Daniel." He did that. Remember that statement he brought out how many weeks ago? He said Coy's Daniel. It was partly to do with Coy's Daniel. Like,
But it's you know that there are ways where you can sort of how you can sort of manage communication, you know, and I don't think that that's been done well at all. It hasn't been done handled well at all. Anyway, this is Come On You Spurs TV. If you're watching us for the first time, we say subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what you see. Leave a comment in the comment section, like us, and share this with folks in your network. I'm not sure you want to share this straight because
no, like literally, like I'm literally just going to like drown my sorrows in something after this. Like, so just
look, Spurs will be fine, and I'm sure we'll be fine. Now, all these rumors again, we always sort of go back and say, okay, fine. Nagelsmann out of the picture. Now it's looking like Messi's out of the picture now, considering what happened today.
yes,
So
definitely.
it's narrowing. I mean, we don't even know who the real candidates are. Is it Xabi Alonso in the fray?
I don't believe any of that stuff. No, I really don't. After Nagelsmann, I don't believe anything
Is
because
it even true that Nagelsmann is not even in the picture? Do we even know?
no. They wrote there that we haven't even had any dealings, and I'm thinking, oh my god, everybody's been saying he's the preferred candidate. The club has, like, and I don't say that we didn't deal with him at all. I just feel straight up that's what happens. Look, we're all men on this channel. It's what happens when your friend has gone to toast a girl. The girl told him no. Comes and tells you, I wasn't even interested in the girl. I didn't really say anything to her. It's a lie. The girl told him no. Nagelsmann has told them, no, I'm not touching you with a barge pole. And Daniel Levy has been slighted, and he now tries to make Nagelsmann out to be, oh, like Chelsea, I too didn't want to pursue him. Or, we felt the same thing, Chelsea. Like, he doesn't want to, like, your seconds and the guy looked at the structure, and I think he asked the right questions. And those questions are, who is your director of football? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do it? And they couldn't give him the answers he wanted. And the guy said, look, I can't really mess with you guys till I know that. And it's like, that's a no. So right now he says Xabi Alonso. So what I've seen, an updated list is Xabi Alonso, Ruben Amorim of Sporting, Brendan Rodgers, and Graham Potter have been added to the list.
Oh, gosh.
And Postecoglou of Celtic is on the list.
Oh gosh.
And Allardyce.
You know what? Once Allardyce is done with his job, maybe Allardyce. Harry Redknapp has a shot if he really wants it as well. But once I saw Brendan Rodgers and Potter, it made me laugh. I tweeted that last week. I said, I will not be surprised to see Brendan Rodgers get this job come next season. And they will say he was always our target all along. I said, I will not be surprised. Brendan Rodgers will get the job. I've said it. It's a joke. You got me here on live. Brendan Rodgers or Graham Potter could be the next manager of Tottenham.
And that'd be best for us. Honestly, I think that'd be best for us because since Poch left, I mean, we've only done well when we've had a coach that nobody really knew about. Poch, no one really knew about him. And I think we don't need the Mourinhos or the Contes or the Nagelsmanns, all these people. We need someone like Brendan Rodgers. Eddie Howe, see what Eddie Howe is doing. We need someone
like an Eddie Howe chap.
Yeah, we need somebody who's got that.
Okay, so let's dial back a little bit, right? Maybe not to completely throw out Mr. Mason from this equation, I know it sounds okay, fine. What happened today wasn't quite the best, but okay, listen. You have bad days at the office. He hasn't had time to really sit down and do a lot of stuff. I mean, still plenty of learning, but some people will say that, do you want to use Spurs as a learning curve? I mean, we're not that sort of club. Go and do that with Norwich and come back next season. Get them promoted, get the experience. I mean, difficult times, good times, and when you get good experience, you can come back. But if we look at the likes of Mr. Nagelsmann, how did he become a coach of a big club in quotes?
Yeah, under 19, he was under 19 manager of Hoffenheim. They sacked their coach. They didn't have anyone. They promoted him. I'll give you one thing that I feel very. So the difference between this spell and the spell under Mourinho. Have you noticed what the difference is in the dugout?
What is?
No Chris Powell. Chris Powell, who has actually managed 3 football clubs he was his number 2 when he took over from Mourinho. Chris Powell actually ran the training sessions as well. So Chris Powell is actually a manager, but he's in charge of Spurs' youth development and works for England as well. But I remember when I said it, I said, how come they're always touting Mason and not touting Chris Powell as the caretaker? You know, I said, this is a guy who's actually managed. How come he had to be Mason's assistant? But this time, Mason opted not to get him, or he's either busy with England. But that's the only difference I can see in Mason's backroom stuff is no Chris Powell. So maybe there is something to this where you've actually managed a club before, and someone can tell you, you know, Stellini didn't really manage a club. He managed a club for 4 months and got sacked. You know, Chris Powell has done the work. He's done the hours. You know, maybe there's something there. But that's the only difference I can see, that maybe he needed somebody more experienced. Matt Wells, who is next to him, he was also an assistant to Scott Parker. That's not much of a CV, even though I like him. I think he's tactically smart. But maybe Chris Powell was the missing link for them in this whole thing. And maybe it would have been wise. And if you're going to give him the job full time, then maybe one of the stipulations should be get yourself a very big boy, old school coach to be your number 2. That would be the only thing I would say. Get Harry Redknapp to be your number 2.
Yeah, so that's where we are. Tottenham losing 2-1 at Villa, disappointing outcome. Went there with big hopes of, sort of strengthening up options with a view to qualifying for Europe next season. Those things that looks like in tatters now. If we're being honest, if we're being positive, we might say, okay, there's a bit of a chance if we win the last 2 games. But hey, very, very, very difficult at this point in time. You know, top 4 is out of question now, so forget that. Yeah. So,
are you sure?
I love the top 4 out of the question. Like, even when you said top 4 in the preview, I was laughing. I was like, right? This guy, he was so optimistic. He was like, oh, maybe top 4 like this. Nah, man.
I know. That's why I'm called Optimus, right?
No. I like the optimism. Even in the face of defeat, you're still optimistic.
I know, right? So we've got we have Brentford at home next weekend, and following Sunday we are away to Leeds. Yeah, tough going. We need. I think the club needs to sort of decide what the identity of the club is, what direction we're heading, make those key appointments in as soon as possible to sort of calm the waters and ensure that things at least begin to sort of build going forward from here on. Final words from you guys. Ben, final word from you.
Well, I think you forgot one thing. I think we can do all those things and we can also pray. Nobody did for Nigeria. We're Nigeria Spurs. So we can all
we can
just pray.
You're going to fast and pray, right?
Make somebody go talk to Adeboye or whatever his name is, the guy waiting in Nigeria, the chief of CG, that one, RCCG. Adeboye, I be name be that. May they go meet and make we pray, do prayer point for Spurs.
But I mean, what is the thing about praying and football is this: do they go hand in hand? Because if you think about it, if other teams are praying as well, who does God answer? I mean, you know,
who has more faith? Who has more faith? You should get the person with the most faith.
Because players come on the pitch and they show they're Catholics. They don't be doing like this. They're all Catholics. All the players are Catholic.
Oh gosh.
Anyway, I don't know.
It's
anyhow, yeah. Well, yeah, it's a good way to spend close to 2 hours. Not. But no, I look at the bright side. It brings us close to the end of the season. So if anything, that's something to be looked at with glee. That will soon be over. We'll soon face it. And the good thing is next season we start from scratch. Everyone 0. You know? So start again. Climb Mount Kilimanjaro. See where they get to the top.
Great.
Or fall down.
Thanks for that. Chuma, what do you
well, I'm hoping for Daniel Levy's sake for him not to get a huge uprising next next Saturday or Sunday against Brentford. I'm hoping people don't start pulling out the chairs, or if they're trying to be decent, do the Spanish thing where they wave the white hanky. Unfortunately for Spurs, the white hanky in Spain gets rid of the chairman, because this chairman actually owns our club.
I know,
The
right?
white handkerchief does nothing. But then I'm also hoping against hope for his sake that in 2 weeks' time or 2.5 weeks' time, he can actually get a director of football and a manager. If he can do those two things, he will spin the tide around PR wise, at least for his end of season. Because we're going on an end of season tour, if I'm not mistaken, or
Yeah,
something
going to
stupid.
Singapore, aren't we?
So that's just dumb. But anyway, it's what he's. So what I'm saying is, I hope if he can do that in 2 weeks, get a director of football. He may be close to getting a director of football. If he gets one, he can announce that. Because one of his saving graces as well, this is the last thing I'll say, is that Chelsea have not announced Pochettino yet. For whatever reason, they haven't announced Pochettino. So up until they announced Pochettino, all
It's,
hell hasn't broken loose.
it's still potentially in the bag, eh? You're doing
So as soon,
much for us here, aren't you? Eh?
no, well, you know what? We've seen stranger things. William did a medical at Spurs. William did a medical at Spurs and then became a Chelsea player.
That you
Wouldn't
might be
it be
medical
wouldn't it be
analysis.
so amazing that Pochettino signs all these documents and then tears the document up and then sign? It's up until they announced that, man, he's up for grabs, and also the fans haven't gone completely mad. But the minute they announced that man holding a Chelsea shirt, is going to break 50% of the fan base that still love him. And yeah, Daniel Levy under serious pressure to leave. So
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us on Come On You Spurs TV, where we had a look at Villa against Tottenham and ended up 2-1 losers away. We look forward to the next match against Brentford and hope for better results. But in the meantime,
look forward. Look forward is a different kind of word.
come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.